Job. The Lord giveth, and the Lord playeth a game. There is a story that is so arbitrary, so unjust, and so utterly ridiculous that you can barely believe it. The book of Job is about the time God and Satan had a bit of a bet about how much torment a righteous man could endure before he finally snapped and cursed the Lord. It might sound cruel, but it's actually light years ahead of its time, because the main thesis of the piece is you just don't get it, so shut it. It's all part of the plan. We kick off in the land of Uz, where the Bible introduces us to a fellow named Job. He's blameless, upright, fears God, shuns evil, and has a whole brood of kids. 7 sons and 3 daughters. That's 10 kids, which, let's be honest, Old Testament God totally approves of. He's also loaded with wealth, livestock, and all the ancient trappings of success. Everything is going tickety-boo. He's so good he's even meticulous about his burnt offerings to old T. He'll fire up the barbecue and get cooking, not to repent for any specific sin. That's for plebs. Job is so righteous he would say, "It may be that my sons have sinned to curse God in their hearts. So here, have some burnt offerings." But if you know the old T, you know this is going to get fucked. So the Bible says there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And who waltzes in with them? None other than Satan himself, the old Beelzebub. And then God starts bragging about old Mr. Righteous, but soon to be fucked Job. Now Satan, he says, if you consider my servant Job, what a wonderful chap. He fears me, shuns evil, a real paragon of virtue. What a champion. Satan, however, isn't buying it. His life's too goddamn good, he says. You talk to me when things suck. Go ahead if you dare. Fuck him up. He'll change his tune real quick. He'll curse you to your face, I bet. And God's reply, knock yourself out. I'll take that bet. That's right, Job. You righteous, upstanding, blameless, God-fearing, evil-shunning man. God has just let Satan loose upon you. All that he has is in your power, God says. Just please don't kill him, okay? And Satan leaves off to torture Job, probably thinking, well, that was a lot easier than I thought. Job, meanwhile, is just hanging around his house. His sons and daughters are chilling out with their oldest brother, so he's got the place by himself to relax. Then the messengers start arriving, one after the other, like a really depressing relay race. First guy. Hey, the oxen were ploughing and the donkeys were feeding, and then some raiders came and took them all away and killed all your servants with the edge of their sword. Not the tip, just the edge. I don't know why I emphasize that. I'm fucking terrified. Everybody else is fucking dead. He is still speaking when the second messenger comes running in. Hey, the fire of God fell from heaven, burn up all your sheep and servants. It consumed them. I'm losing my shit here. My friends were just spontaneously deceased. A third guy arrives. The second guy is still speaking. Hey, 3 bands of raiders attacked your camels, took them and killed everyone with the edge of the sword. The edge, for God's sake, they didn't even once stab with the tip. He is still speaking when another stumbles in. Hey, mate, kids all dead, gust of wind, splat. Bandits about as well. They don't even use the tip. Yeah, okay. Job says, worst day ever. I get it. Worst day ever. He tears his clothes, shaves his head, and falls to the ground. But not to scream or to curse, but to worship. He utters the iconic line, "The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away." Goes on to say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord." Wow. Talk about faith. All right. So we have another day when the sons of God pop up before the Lord. I guess we should clarify this quickly. In the Old Testament, Satan isn't really the villain that he becomes later. He's more of a prosecuting attorney. So, the attorney who one day will become the morning star, Beelzebub, the beast Samael, Lucifer, the tempter, he's there. But God, well, he's looking quite smug. Have you considered my servant Job? God asks. Oh my goodness, still pious, still devout, still fearing God after everything you did. Oh, I do believe you squashed his kids. Killed his camel, his sheep, most of his servants from memory. Only 4 remain unscathed, and still he's worshipping like the clappers. What a lovely man. How well behaved. But Satan's undeterred. What? He says. That lightweight shit? He can get more camels and sheep, hire more servants. He can make more kids. You want to impress me? Let's mess with his body. Go on, says God. Well, I was thinking we could touch his bone and his flesh, but that's just cheating, I think. It's probably best just to... I'm stopping you there, says God. Go ahead. I'm not worried. Do your worst. Just don't kill him. So off goes Satan, shaking his head. This is like candy from a... What is that about candy? God says. Oh, nothing. Just need a blood sugar boost. It's okay. So Satan gives Job painful boils everywhere, from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. His wife's not particularly helpful, though she is sane. She tells Job, do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die. I don't understand the and die part, but the rest seems reasonable. But Job, in a very Old Testament-y way, just rebukes her right back. You speak as one of the foolish women speak. Oh, snap! Shall we indeed accept good from God and not accept adversity, he says? You can say what you want, but Job is a real one. He is ride or fucking die. But now we get to the fickle fucking friends. Job has 3 of them, and you're gonna meet them all 3. When they hear about all the bad shit that's happened to him, each one comes from his own place to mourn with him and comfort him. And it starts out okay, but it goes downhill very quickly. At first they don't recognize Job. He's so utterly broken and covered in boils. When they do, they tear their clothes, because that's what you do in the Bible to show you're upset. And they sit with him for 7 days and 7 nights. That's quite nice. Just being there silent with their depressed friend. And then Job opens his mouth and unleashes a blistering piece of beat poetry about how he wishes he was never even fucking born. May the day perish, he laments, in the night in which it was said a male child is conceived. And at one point he does say, why is life given to a man whose way is hidden and whom God hath hedged in? Oof, his poor groanings doth pour out like water. He's a little pissy at God, sure, but it's only one line. But it sets off his friends. Oh my God. They all take turns, lengthy turns, accusing Job of having sinned and deserving what's happening to him. One sentence from a chronically depressed friend mourning his 10 dead children is all that it takes to get them up in his gas tank. They would fit right in among some people I know in 2025, let me tell you. Eliphaz launches in first. He starts the theme that Job must have done something to deserve all this. Drops a nice low blow about Job's crushed sons. Your sons are far from safety. They're crushed in the gate. Fucking hell. Bildad the Shuhite is next, also in team You Were Asking For It. He drops some well-crafted argumentation that only makes him look like a real imbecile. Does God pervert justice, he asks. Well, yeah. If it's all part of some weird reality TV show bet between him and Satan, then yeah. When your children sinned against him, he gave them the penalty of their transgression. No, actually, his children were killed, all 10 of them, because God wanted to prove to Satan that he'd do that and still have Job worship him. Again with the fucking kids. Bildad, the pompous, self-righteous arsehole, finishes with a flourish, saying, if you seek God earnestly and serve him, he will reward you. Which is funny, seeing as the very reason Job was targeted was because he served God so earnestly. In fact, if Bildad was half the righteous man he appears to fucking think he is, it would be his kids flattened underneath a building, his face, legs, arms, and everything else covered in boils. And the last up is faithful friend Zophar, the Namanite. Namathite. Fight. Last up is faithful friend Zophar, who tells Job he deserves much worse. These are his friends. Job responds to this pack of shitbirds with a bit of philosophy and a whole bunch of I wish I was dead. He does at one point compare them to the caravans of Tema, which is funny because everybody knows the caravans of Tema are really, really awful caravans. And then Elihu, the son of Barachel begins to speak. If that's surprising to you, it is to everybody else as well, because this little motherfucker just pops out of nowhere. It's like he's teleported in from a fucking spaceship or something. He's never mentioned before, and he's never mentioned after. Elihu claims he was silent out of respect for the elders, but he really must speak now. He really must speak because they're all wrong. None of them have done a good enough job of explaining what's going on, and he is duty-bound to share his wisdom. Why don't you try applying your wisdom to this kid? Is it absolutely necessary to show up at your friend's house when they're medically unwell, mourning their 10 dead children just so you can berate them? Perhaps it's not the time. But old Eli boy disagrees. It's the perfect time. He argues that rather than his lack of experience and life perspective being a downside, it actually makes him smarter than the rest of them. Your opinions are totally cooked, no cap. It's up to me now to yeet a little bit of wisdom into your old white stale heads, he says. And his argument boils down to this. God is all-knowing. God is all-powerful. We are too stupid to understand him. So therefore this could be instructive. It could be beneficial. It could be part of a plan. Or not, who the fuck knows? No one can comprehend what God is thinking, he says. True. This is true. There's no fucking way any of them would have suspected that this is just a bloody bet between God and Lucifer. But it could be like, all good and stuff. It's not like we know, right? He says. Deadass, you've just fallen off, so you just stop, you cringe, you're all claps, right? So the correction this little shit had to offer is, who knows? I hate the next generation. They're fucked. Yeah, I know I sound old when I say that, but they are fucked. Another one who would be just fine in 2025. God himself, though, shows up in a whirlwind, always one for an exciting entry. He asks Job a bunch of what I think are intended to be rhetorical questions to illustrate how far outside of human comprehension he is. The problem is whoever wrote the book of Job fucked that up completely. These questions are easy. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? It's very simple. I didn't exist because you hadn't made me yet. Who determined these measurements? Surely you know. I do, actually. You did. God. Who stretched the line upon it? Same answer as above. God. This then turns into a full-blown rant that encompasses questions that are really just poetry. So this all obviously makes an impression on Job, who is suitably humbled. Behold, I am vile, he says. What shall I answer to you? I will lay my hands upon my mouth. Go on, says God. It was unreasonable of me to get upset at you for literally killing almost everything in my household, including my 10 kids, and covering me in boils over a bet with the devil. It means a lot that you can admit that, God says. God then encourages him for some reason to dress like a man. I gotta be honest with you, God comes across a little bit like a Chad in this passage. He tells him, dress now like a man, be a man, and even asks him, do you have an arm like God? Do you have an arm like God? Take a fucking look at these guns. It's pretty rough stuff, considering that old Job really took a lot. Dead kids, dead servants, household destroyed, and he wasn't even screaming at God and cursing him. He just really wanted to die once he was covered in the boils. God then starts describing a couple of beasts that he's created, the behemoth and the leviathan. I mean, comparing your previous partners to the current one is classy, I suppose. See now the strength in his loins, God says, and the power in the muscles of his belly, the sinew of his thighs are tightly knit. How great is that, you fucking suck compared to it? Yep, cool, very cool. He goes on about the leviathan for a bit. This whole bit kind of reminds me when you go around to a friend's house and he's done up his car and he just won't shut up about it. Shows you all of the improvements that he's made. And Job's just having a great day. Just a great day. He's covered in boils. He's mourning his 10 dead kids. Just wants to be left alone to think about the sweet reprieve of death. His 3 friends show up, give him a bunch of shit about he's obviously a piece of crap that deserves it. Some ghost child pops out of nowhere, tells him, you can't even know what's going on, champ, just shut the fuck up. And then God himself comes down to tell him off for wishing for death, about having such a horrible lot and brags nonstop about these other weird things that he made that are way better than he is. So after even more description of this fucking Leviathan thing that God is incredibly proud of, Job tells him, yeah, I get it. I know. You can do everything, therefore I have uttered what I did not understand. Things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. I don't know how wonderful getting covered in boils is, but okay, fair enough. I guess it's the smart thing to say to old T God. And Job goes on to say, therefore I abhor myself. I repent in dust and ashes. Fuck. All right? But this satisfies God. You pass the test, and the only satisfying part of this whole damn book is when God himself wheels around to Job's three fucking dickhead friends and tells them, my wrath is aroused against you. Oh, their stomachs must have dropped when they heard that. And your two friends, because you have not spoken of what is right, as my servant Job has. It is just satisfying as fuck, I have to tell you. These pious fucking self-righteous pricks. Imagine having an Old Testament God, turn around and tell you, my wrath is aroused. Oh, you're done for, sons. I don't know what's happening to you, but it's not going to be good. So God tells them to go and take 7 bulls and 7 rams and to offer a burnt offering for him and my servant Job. And he says, if Job prays for you, I will accept his prayer not to deal with you according to your folly, which is pretty good. Go and beg Job, because if he doesn't pray for you, you're cooked. But I couldn't help but notice there's a little bit of a catch-22 in this. He's telling him to give a burnt offering to Job, and if Job prays, he'll forgive them for talking shit, which is fine. But who's going to forgive them for offering a burnt offering to a man? Because as we know, when Moses came down from old Mount Sinai, that is a fucking no. Burnt offerings are for God only. Yeah, it feels like God might be leaving a little bit of wriggle room in there if he changes his mind and wants to smack these fools about the head, which, frankly, I'm all for. So anyway, these 3 jackasses do as they're told. The fucking ghost child just pops out of there, evaporates or vanishes or God knows what, after delivering his little tirade. Job prays for them, and God forgives them. He also, it turns out, restores all of the stuff that he fucked up for Job. He gives him back twice as many sheep, twice as many servants, twice as many everything, which is pretty amazing. He restores his 7 sons to him, but then gives him 3 brand new daughters. This is specified. 3 brand new daughters. I hate absolutely everything about that. The Bible emphasizes that Job's 3 new daughters were the most beautiful women in the entire land. They even get names. Jemima, Kezia, and Karen Hopuch. They don't, of course, do a single goddamn thing. This is the only time they're ever mentioned. But they're the most beautiful women in the whole land. So fuck those previously 3 unnamed average-looking daughters. He's got brand spanking new ones now. God, I hate it. Job is rewarded with 140 years of life. He gets to see his children and his grandchildren 4 generations. Oh, that daughter stuff is really fucked, isn't it? I mean, I know I'm starting to clap on about this, but god damn. I'm beginning to think that the Bible really fucking hates women.